Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? Great, excellent. I'm also doing good. Thank you for asking. And before we start the lessons, I would like to ask students to help me to lead the prayer. Anyone would like to volunteer themselves? No one? Okay, so if there's no one, I would like to ask the leader of the class. It's Anazar, right? Right, okay, so Anazar, would you please lead the prayer? Okay, please. Okay, thank you Anazar for leading the prayer. And now I would like to remind you, as usual, to fill the self-attendance on Google Classroom. So I have already set the slot for today's meeting, and the deadline for submitting your self-attendance is up to 12 o'clock. Okay? Okay, so please don't forget. Now, I would like to tell you a story, and this story is about my pet. So I have a pet. It's a cat, and my cat name is Bona. Okay, so Bona is usually play in the ground in front of my house, and she was usually catching butterflies. So in front of my house there are a lot of flowers, there are a lot of plants, and there are many butterflies perched on the flowers, and Bona is really like to catch it. Unusually, yesterday I saw her scratching herself strongly. Therefore, I'm curious what is happening to her because it is very unusual. Then I take a look to her fur, and there I saw fleas. So even though I always bathing her, she still have fleas. However, talking about the cat, my cat, and then the fleas, and then the flower, the butterflies, what do you think they are doing? Anyone would like to guess? They're playing around? Well, probably they're playing around. Any other ideas? They're doing interactions. Yes, they're doing interactions. But what type of interactions? Anyone have any other opinion? Predating? Why do you think it's predating? So because you think my cat will eat the butterfly? Well, I'm not really sure about it because my cat are not usually eat butterflies. She always eat like wet food, dry food. She didn't eat like a living organism. So I don't think it's a kind of predation. Anyone would like to guess another, maybe another opinion? No one? Okay, so basically today we are going to learn about interaction, which one type of interaction is symbiosis. After doing discussions, you are expected to be able to describe the definition of symbiosis, and then you are expected to be able to differentiate the three types of symbiosis. And then after that, after doing observation and also group discussions, you are expected to be able to attribute at least three examples of each type of symbiosis, and also you are expected to be able to present the worksheet about symbiosis in daily life. Okay, so now the first question is, of course, what is symbiosis? What is symbiosis? Anyone would like to guess? Okay, if there's no one, then let me show you several pictures of the symbiosis. Okay, so here we have three pictures of symbiosis. The first one is between zebra and cattle egrets. It usually happen like in savanna. There are many zebras and cattle egrets are following the zebra. And then the second one is between hummingbird and flowers, where the hummingbirds are eating the nectar from the flowers. And then the third one is from the wasp's larvae and hornworm. So the wasps are usually put their larvae in the hornworm body, And then the larvae will then grow up by taking the nutrients from the hornworm, and the larvae will living inside the hornworm. So uh, from those picture, from those three picture, anyone could guess, anyone maybe have any opinion, any idea about what are the similarities of those three pictures. If you have, you could raise a hand. Okay, so I see Ilham raising his hand. Ilham, would you please state your ideas? Okay, so you think they are doing interactions? Of course, they are doing interactions. Any other else? They are living together. Okay, so what do you mean by they are living together? So do you think they are living in the same place so that they are doing such interaction, isn't it? Okay, very well. Thank you very much, Ilham. How about the other students? Any other students would like to raise their opinion? Okay, so here I see Tiara. Tiara raising her hand. Would you please state your ideas or your opinion? Okay, so your opinion is it is happening between two organisms. Excellent, very well. How about the other? Thank you, Tiara, for your ideas. How about the other? Any other opinion? Maybe one more student. Okay, so here I see Fauzia. Fauzia raising her hand. Fauzia, would you please state your ideas? Okay, so you think that those three pictures have different characteristics of interactions. Wow, why do you think so? Okay, okay, that's okay. It just you're just guessing, even though you're just guessing, that's okay. Thank you very much, Fauzia. Okay, so basically, it is related to the definition of the symbiosis. So what is symbiosis itself? The symbiosis is the interactions happened in the nature. Of course, it happens for survival, so that the organisms happen in the nature would survive by doing interactions with another organisms. Just like us as a human, we can do everything by ourselves, right? We can live by ourselves. We always need another people. We always need, maybe we also need another organisms to live our life. So basically the idea of this symbiosis is it is happening between organisms that living together in the same place to form a bubble of ecosystem. And these organisms and these interactions are happening between two different species. So what if it's happening if the organisms are in the same species? Well, we can't call it as symbiosis. So the idea of symbiosis is it is happening between two different species. And then the idea from Fauzia is also right. It is also correct. It's a great idea that the three pictures before are showing different patterns, are showing different characteristics of interactions, so that we know that there are three types of symbiosis. We can differentiate it into three types. So the questions now is how do we differentiate those three types of symbiosis? Okay, so to answer that questions, here we are going to do an activities called as exploring symbiosis around you. Why do we have to do this activity? So the symbiosis is happening in nature, right? The symbiosis is basically happen in nature, and it is also happen around you. So by doing these activities, you are expected to be able to attribute the examples of symbiosis happened, and you can relating the concept to the real life situations. Okay, students, so before we go to doing the activities of exploring symbiosis around us, I would like to explain the procedures. how to do the activities. So first of all, I would like to divide you into 6 groups, where 2 groups will be talking about mutualisms, and then 2 groups will be talking about commensalisms, and the other 2 groups will be talking about parasitisms. Now the question is, Miss, what are those? What are mutualisms? What are commensalisms? And what are parasitisms? We haven't talked about it, right? So basically, you are asked to do some kind of research. To many resources, you can seek it in the internet, you can seek it in your book. What are those type of symbiosis? After that, you can seek for the examples of the type of symbiosis. So for examples, group 1 are getting mutualism. So you only observe uh, the symbiosis, you only taking the examples of the symbiosis of mutualisms. Can anyone get the point? Yes, okay, excellent. So you are doing these observations individually. So you can go outside of your house, but please don't go too far. Just seeking around your house, seek the symbiosis happen around you. And then after that, please take a note of the organisms doing the interactions, like what are the organisms and then how does the interactions happen. Please take a note. So each student will take at least one example of the symbiosis. And then after that, you go back to the breakout room and doing the discussions with your group to fill the simple worksheet, which basically talking about the organisms, how does the interactions happen, and the characteristics of the symbiosis. I will give you a time for this observation and discussions for around 30 minutes. After that, you will ask again to go back to the main room, and then every group will have to present their results of discussions. Okay, so up to this point, anyone would like to ask about the instructions of the activity? I would like everyone to understand it first before we go to do these observations. No one? So I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if there's no one, I assume everyone understands the instructions. So now I would like to share the Google Jamboard link to the chat room. Okay, I already share it. Could you find the link? Okay, so if you could find it, you can join it right now. Yes, okay. Some students already joined to the Google Jamboard. I can see it. And then I will divide you into groups randomly so that you will be directly joined into the breakout room of your group. Okay, so be ready everyone for this activity. Enjoy the observations and enjoy the discussions, everyone. Hello, group 1. Still doing the discussions, right? So do you find any difficulties, or maybe do you have any questions to ask to me? No? Okay, so if everything is good, I will go to the other breakout room and we will meet again in the main room in around 20 minutes. Okay, please continue your discussion, group 1. Thank you. Hello, group 2. How far is the discussions? Do you find any difficulties, or do you have any questions to ask to me? Okay, so what is it? What is your difficulty? Okay, so during your observations, you don't find any interactions happen around you. Okay, so basically the idea of these activities is to know what type of interactions happen around you, right? However, if you don't find it, like in today observations, maybe you can remembering. Maybe you have ever seen interactions happen around you, and you think it can be included to the type of symbiosis that relate to your group part. So group 2 get mutualisms, right? So if you think the interactions that you have ever seen can be included into mutualisms. You can put it there. Any other questions? Okay, so everything's good. Okay, so if everything's good, you can continue your discussions and we will meet again in the main room in around 10 minutes. Thank you, group 2. Hello everyone, welcome back to the main room. Is everyone already finished with the discussions? How about group 1? Do you have finished with the discussions? Okay, group 2 finished. Group 3, excellent. Group 4, good, great. How about group 5? Very well. And group 6, great. Okay, so every group has already finished their discussions, right? And now we can go to the next sessions of today's lessons. So I will ask group 1 to present the results of the discussion. So now let me share the screen of the Google Jamboard. Okay, to group 1, please present your results. Thank you, group 1, for the discussions and for your presentations. Now I would like to ask another group if there are any questions or any comments, any feedback to group 1 presentations. You may raise a hand. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If there is no questions, let's appreciate group 1 presentations. You can applause or giving reactions. Thank you. Now, before we go to the second presentations, I would like to ask everyone to turn on your camera. Please turn on your camera. As I already promised before in the beginning of the class, I will do sudden attendance check by doing screenshots from this meeting. So if you don't turn on your camera, I will consider you not coming for today's lesson. Okay, everyone already turned on their camera? I see Arif haven't turned on the camera. Arif, are you there? Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for 5. Oh no, 5 is too fast. For 10 seconds for everyone to turn on their camera. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So everyone, please give your best pose for this picture of today's meeting. Okay, smile everyone. 1, 2, 3. One more time for the second slide. Please smile. 1, 2, 3. Good, excellent. Now we'll go to the second presentations from group 2. Is everyone ready? Excellent. So group 2, please present your results of discussions. Thank you, group 2, for doing the discussions, for your presentations. Now I would like to ask another group. Maybe another group have any other opinion, any other ideas, any questions or anything to be raised to group 2. No one? Okay, so now we have 2 groups presenting about mutualisms. So group 1 and group 2 are having the same finding about the characteristics of mutualisms, which both of organisms doing the interactions in this type of symbiosis are getting benefits. How about group 3, 4, 5, 6? Can everyone agree with this statement, with the characteristics of mutualisms found by group 1 and group 2? Okay. So if everyone agree, you could give reaction by thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I think we can go to the third presentation. Okay, group 3, please do your presentation. Okay, so we have done discussions, we have done observations. What else? We have done presentations, many things we have done in today's activities, right? Now, I would like to ask students to conclude today's learning. Anyone would like to volunteer themselves to conclude the lessons? Okay, so I see Bena raising her hand. Would you please state the conclusions? Okay, so the conclusions from you is the organisms are doing interactions in order to survive in nature. Okay, thank you very much, Bena, for your conclusions. Any other else would like to add Bena's statement? Okay, here I see Clarissa. Clarissa, would you add Bena's statement for the conclusions? Okay, thank you, Clarissa, for your great conclusions. So basically, your conclusions is about the different types of symbiosis, which are mutualisms, commensalisms, and parasitisms, and also the characteristics of each types of symbiosis. Thank you very much. How about the others? Any other else would like to share the conclusions, would like to share their ideas of today's learning? Here I see Gary. Gary, would you like to please share your conclusions? Okay, thank you very much. So basically, Gary's conclusions is symbiosis are happen everywhere. It also happen around us. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so to sum up, every ideas, every conclusions coming from you is we know that the symbiosis are happen in the nature by the organisms in order to survive. And then the type of symbiosis are differentiated into three, which are mutualisms, commensalisms, and parasitisms, in which those types can be differentiated from their characteristics. So for the mutualisms one is where both of the organisms are getting benefited. Meanwhile, for the commensalisms one is where one organism is getting benefit, meanwhile the other one is unaffected. And then the last one is the parasitism, is where one organism is having benefit, meanwhile the other one are getting harm. Okay, so how about the place? So basically, just like Gary already stated, the symbiosis can be happen like everywhere in the nature, even it is around you. So maybe that can conclude all of today's lessons. And then for the evaluations for today's learning, I would like to share a Google form that you can fill with the due date up to next week, up to next meeting. And in doing these evaluations, I would like to ask you to please be honest, and then don't seek for the resources from the internet, from the book, or everywhere. Just using your knowledge. I have already shared the link for the evaluations in the Google Classroom, so please don't forget to fill it. And then for next week, for the next meeting, we are going to learn about the more complicated interactions between organisms in the form of food web. So please be ready for the next meeting, and let's close today's sessions by saying hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. See you next week. I hope everyone can get the benefit. I hope everyone can get the ideas of today's learning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye everyone. You can leave the Zoom now.